Pythagoras. What comes to your mind when you hear this name? Most likely this. The well-known Pythagorean theorem, which we learned about in school and which students still study today, when they hear Pythagoras, they immediately think of the equation, and that's where it ends. They know that he supposedly discovered and proved it, and thanks to that, they can pass their exams. But who was Pythagoras really? A philosopher, mathematician, astrologer, magician, and a great initiate. What did he know even before his time about the secrets of the universe? What did he learn in ancient Egypt? What legacy did he leave behind, and why do most people only know him for his theorem? We will uncover these answers together in the new episode of Minds of Eternity. Welcome. The soul makes a circle of inevitability, clotted in the succession of one life or another. People saw him as a messenger from another time, someone who knew the answers to many mysteries. He was also said to have healing abilities, to practice magic, and even to speak the language of animals. To this day, experts cannot distinguish which of the stories about Pythagoras are true and which are simply legends. He had the rare ability to persuade and predispose people, much like the famous Count of Saint-Germain, using his wisdom and adapting it to each conversation. Determining the exact year and date of his birth is difficult because we're dealing with ancient times here. However, researchers place his birth between 586 and 569 BCE on the island of Samos. He grew up in a wealthy family, with two siblings raised alongside him, and it is said that his brothers were exceptionally intelligent and his mother was known as the most beautiful woman on the island. Over the centuries, a distorted, false, and illusory image of Pythagoras has developed, overshadowing who he truly was. The popular portrayal of Pythagoras is a scientist and a master of mathematics. But early evidence indicates that his fame was not rooted in mathematics or science. Pythagoras was renowned for his ancient knowledge of reincarnation, his ability to practice ancient sorcery using objects, and his reputation as a miracle worker, just like Jesus. From Aristotle's writings on the Pythagoreans and the works of his students Aristoxenus and Dicaearchus, we have evidence that Pythagoras coined the term philosophy. Very interesting. In addition to his quick wit and constant reading, Pythagoras displayed interest in everything around him. Historical records show his talents in music, sports, and literature. His abilities caught the attention of the philosopher Thales, considered the first of the 7 sages of Greece. Thales directed him toward ancient Egypt, and at the age of 18, Pythagoras traveled to Memphis to study with the priests. The exact duration of his stay is unknown, but there he acquired the knowledge and skills he would later pass on to his students. He overcame numerous challenges and earned access to occult knowledge, becoming an initiate. Pythagoras combined mathematics with metaphysics, geometry, astronomy, and magic. After his initiation, Pythagoras wished to return to Greece, but a war broke out and he ended up in Babylon. At that time, Babylon was home to 3 spiritual movements, one based on the esoteric foundation of the ancient Chaldean priests, another consisting of remnants of the Persian Magi, and the third involving select Jewish captives. Pythagoras remained in Babylon for 12 years. There are many legends about Pythagoras' time in Babylon, and this is no coincidence. Though he was a captive like the others, his case was unique. The ruler himself reportedly granted him freedom, likely impressed by his knowledge and skills. This version is supported by accounts of Pythagoras engaging with Babylonian magicians, who shared some of their secrets with him. Whether or not this is true remains unclear. What is certain, however, is that upon returning to his homeland, Pythagoras began to focus intensely on mystical secrets and phenomena and sought out like-minded individuals. After many years of absence, he returned to his native Samos. Everyone believed he was long dead, but he surprised them. Along with his aging mother, he traveled to Delphi, where he spent a year and was received with reverence, as thought he were a representative of some secret power. During his time, he was not merely a famous scientist or mathematician. Pythagoras sought to share his knowledge openly, often speaking publicly to large crowds before inviting those interested to learn at his home. Pythagoras had a special fondness for curious children who asked questions beyond the mundane, such as games or their parents' identities. In the southern Italian city of Croton, a former Greek colony, he founded his famous school. His goal was to teach young people the esoteric knowledge he possessed. The school served both as an academy of sciences and a college of ethical education. His primary aim was for students to access universal knowledge and achieve harmony between their souls and the consciousness of the universe. The greatest science, he says, is to live happily and to live only in the present. One day, while walking along the seashore, he encountered a young girl who was preparing to jump off a cliff and end her life. He caught up to her and asked why she wanted to jump. To his shock, he recognized her as one of his students. She confessed that she loved him deeply and wanted to marry him, otherwise she would jump, due to their significant age difference. He told her to choose youth over spirituality, but the girl was adamant. And so Pythagoras took her hand and they married, later having several children together. The school was highly selective and played a critical role in the future development of astronomy, mathematics, physics, algebra, and other disciplines. It was through the school that irrational numbers were discovered, and Pythagoras often remarked that numbers are sacred. In Croton, as elsewhere, there were children from wealthy families who were lazy and considered themselves superior to others. Their parents often asked why Pythagoras accepted other children, but not theirs. He replied, because they lack spiritual rank. When offered money, he responded, money has no value here. Knowledge is about mastering it or being mastered by it. Your children cannot master it. This approach may seem harsh, but it allowed Pythagoras to select only the most promising young minds. At the Pythagorean school, subjects included geometry, cosmic sciences, mathematics, astronomy, and even psychic sciences. Pythagoras taught his students how to deeply understand themselves, quickly process information, and convey it effectively to others. Pythagoras is regarded as a worthy successor of Hermes Trismegistus. He simplified and adapted Hermes' teachings, making them accessible to ordinary people. His mission was to convey universal principles and ancient knowledge. However, for the masses, only his theorem in geometry remains widely remembered, a significant yet narrow legacy. Long time ago, those whom Pythagoras had excluded from his school set it on fire. Although his most trusted students rushed to save him, he refused to leave, saying, "No, I want it to be so," and perished in the flames alongside his school. What Pythagoras left behind is further proof that our ancestors were far ahead of us in their understanding of the universe, self-control, and the pursuit of wisdom. If someone asks you, what is well-being? Answer, to be in harmony with yourself. Now, if you read about the Pythagorean school, you will see that most sources claim students took a vow of silence upon admission. This led to the misconception that they did not speak at all. In reality, the practice of silence is well known across various cultures and religions. It is commonly practiced by followers of Buddhism and also by Christian monks, especially in the more experienced ones. Even today, there are places around the world where silence is practiced. One such place is the Grand Chartreuse Monastery in southeastern France, where monks take a lifelong vow of silence upon joining. In general, this practice is widely known, and many believe Pythagoras was one of the first to practice it. However, the situation is slightly different. We know that Pythagoras was initiated in Egypt, where, as I personally had the chance to observe, ancient papyrus scrolls reveal something fascinating. They show that after passing the judgment of Osiris, if a deceased person was deemed free of sin, they were declared ma keru, which means one who possesses the correct modulation of the voice, or the word. After physical death, the deceased would merge with the creative principle through the foundational lost word, mythos. We also know that the Egyptian priests Keri-Heps, who are initiated into secret knowledge of the god who suffers, dies, and resurrects Osiris, were called Per-Keru, meaning callers of the voice. These priests were believed to have the ability to breathe life into divine statues, transforming power into action. This ability was characteristic of the great Magi, individuals of extraordinary knowledge, like Pythagoras himself, according to the unanimous opinion of his disciples. The Pythagoreans of the Theban school claimed that we cannot hear the universal sound of the harmony of the spheres because we are immersed in it and entirely permeated by it. Pythagoras is credited with the discovery of musical notes, frequencies of sound. For the Pythagoreans, music symbolized harmony and proportion, closely tied to the concept of arithmos, or numbers. Pythagoras described the universe in arithmetical terms, anticipating modern science. He spoke of sacred mathematics, not the kind of mathematics taught today. The number 1 symbolized the primal principle, the origin. 2 represented manifestation, duality, or the energy that splits into two, positive and negative, to enable existence itself. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. 3 signified the restoration of balance in being. 4 was the essence of the manifested universe, and so on. Here is what Philolaus wrote in one passage. The operations and nature of number must be understood according to the power which the decade contains, for it is great, complete, almighty, and the beginning of divine and human life and their guide. Without it, everything would be indefinite, dark, and confused. The Pythagorean theory of the musical harmony of the universe holds immense importance for the so-called harmonic science. This science studied the harmony of the universe and was based on the concept that the entire universe is a harmonious structure governed by natural laws, which can also be perceived through music. The 4 sciences included in the harmonic science were arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. In Plato's works, we find numerous references to universal harmony, often linked to music, which he regarded as a vital discipline for the education of the soul. The initiated Pythagorean was tasked with preserving order and maintaining the macro and microcosmic proportions through echimethia, the preservation of the lost word. Unfortunately, this has been misunderstood as literal silence. preservation does not mean complete silence. It means safeguarding harmony and the laws that define it. Life itself, as we know and feel it, is vibration. It's energy. It's frequency. It has always been and it will always be. Harmonic vibration is music. Our inner hearing, our inner voice, or inner self as we know it. It's all the same. This is our intuition. This intuition is not locked away for certain people, but it is something that can be practiced by anyone. By being more observant and not simply letting time slip by, we can enhance it by focusing on the present moment and paying attention to small details such as repeating numbers, synchronicities, song lyrics, inscriptions on streets, or patterns on people's clothing. We can uncover clues provided by the source itself. Information and knowledge are everywhere if one is willing to see and accept them. Pythagoras concluded that the evening star Venus is the same as the morning star. This work laid the foundation for later astronomers like Ptolemy and Johannes Kepler, who formulated the laws of planetary motion. For Pythagoras, material evolution was the manifestation of God in matter, while spiritual evolution was the process of developing spiritual consciousness, bringing one closer to God. Or, as the famous philosopher Rumi put it, I went searching for God and found only myself. I went searching for myself and found only God. Hopefully, after this episode, when you hear the name Pythagoras, you won't think only of his theorem. Instead, I hope it makes you reflect and question everything you are told as an absolute truth. Be open to knowledge and wisdom, and above all, don't keep it to yourself. Don't close yourself off. Share it with others around you. Help them grow their own unique potential. For me, it has been a great pleasure. My name is Stoyan Valkov, and this was Minds of Eternity. Cheers, and take care of your minds.